In the small village of Atuma, everyone knew Ifeoma and Udemba. Their love was sweet, like ripe mango. People would smile and say, "Ah, these two will marry and grow old together." Ifeoma and Udemba met when they were students in Enugu. They did everything together, eating, studying, even going to the market. Sometimes Udemba would look at her and say, "My Ifeoma, you are my life. No one will ever come between us." Ifeoma would laugh and reply, "My Udemba, my heart belongs to you forever." One day, Ifeoma's uncle came to visit from America. He saw how smart she was and said, "Ifeoma, I will help you travel to America. You will have a better life there." At first, Ifeoma was happy, but when she thought about Udemba, her heart became heavy like stone. "How can I leave Udemba? What if he forgets me?" She cried to her best friend, Ngozi. Ngozi wiped her tears and said, "If two people truly love each other, nothing can break them." The night before she traveled, Ifeoma and Udemba met under the big mango tree near her house. The moon was full. The air was quiet. They brought out a small knife, and each of them made a tiny cut on their thumb. They pressed their thumbs together. Blood mixed. "We promise," they said together, "nothing will ever separate us. Not distance, not people, not time." They hugged each other tight. Ifeoma could feel Udemba's heart beating fast. She whispered, "Wait for me. I will come back." And Udemba said, "I will wait forever, Ifeoma." The next morning, Ifeoma entered a big bus to Lagos, and from there, she flew to America. America was very different. The weather was cold. The houses were big. The people spoke too fast. Ifeoma missed home. She missed Udemba, but she wiped her tears and told herself, "I must work hard for our future." At first, she cleaned people's houses. She mopped floors. She washed toilets. Sometimes, she worked until her hands were sore and her back hurt. When she finished, she would sit on her small bed, count her money, and divide it into 2 pies. She would smile and say, "This one is for me to live. This one is for Udemba and our future." Every month, she sent money to Udemba. She also wrote small notes like, "My love, use this money to buy land. Soon, we will build our home." When she got a better job at a restaurant, she still sent money, even when the cold made her sick, even when she was tired like someone carrying a heavy load, even when she felt alone. Every Sunday, she would walk far to find a public phone. She would call Udemba, and when he picked, she would say, "My Udemba, are you okay? I miss you." And he would reply, "My Ifeoma, I miss you too. I am waiting for you." Each time after the call, Ifeoma would wipe her eyes and whisper, "I am coming, my love, just a little longer." But deep inside her heart, a small voice started to whisper, "Hope Udemba is really waiting." She shook her head and said, "No, Udemba made a blood oath with me. He will never forget." But sometimes, late at night, when the wind blew strong outside, Ifeoma would hug herself tightly and wonder, "Is he still mine?" Back home in Enugu, Udemba's life was different. At first, he was happy. Every month, he would go to the bank and collect money Ifeoma sent. He would smile and think, my Ifeoma is a good woman. But bad friends started coming around him. One evening, Udemba was sitting with two of his friends, Chuka and Obinna, under the big tree near the market. They were drinking cold beer and laughing when Chuka said, Udemba, you dey lucky oh. A woman dey America, they send you money. Udemba laughed and said, she loves me. We made a blood promise. Nothing can break us. Obinna shook his head and said, my brother, open your eyes. Do you know what she's doing there? Chuka added, you think say she dey alone? Fine girl like Ifeoma. Money no dey go for tree for America. She must be doing bad things to get that money. Udemba frowned. No, Ifeoma will never do that. But after they left, their words stayed in his mind like a bad song he could not stop hearing. When he tried to sleep that night, he turned and turned on his bed. What if they are right? He thought. What if Ifeoma has found another man? From that night, doubt started growing inside Udemba's heart like a bad weed in a farm. Each time Ifeoma called, he still answered, but his voice was cold. He smiled less, he trusted her less, and little by little, the sweet love they shared began to break. Meanwhile, in America, Ifeoma was fighting her own battles. One day, when she was going to work, police officers stopped her. They found out her visa had expired. They took her to a cold camp. The place was like prison. The bed was hard. The food was bad. Ifeoma sat alone in the corner and cried, God, please help me. I just want to build my future with Udemba. After many weeks, a kind lawyer came to the camp. His name was Mr. White. He saw Ifeoma and felt sorry for her. He helped her get her papers. He smiled at her and said, you are a good woman, Ifeoma. You are free now. But Mr. White wanted more. He visited her all the time. He brought her gifts, flowers, chocolates, nice shoes. He would tell her, Ifeoma, forget about Nigeria. Stay here with me. I will give you a good life. But Ifeoma always shook her head and said, thank you, sir, but I belong to Udemba. Another man came. His name was Mr. Mudok. He was very rich. His skin was white like paper. His eyes were blue like the sky. He fell madly in love with Ifeoma. Every time he saw her, he would say, why do you keep saying you belong to someone you have not seen for years? One day, he looked into her eyes and said, I must find out what magic this Udemba has used on you. He tried everything, cars, money, promises, but Ifeoma's answer was always the same. Thank you, Mr. Mudok, but I belong to Udemba. I made a promise. At last, Mr. Mudok gave up. He shook his head and said, you are a rare woman, Ifeoma. I hope your Udemba knows what treasure he has. But Ifeoma did not know that far away in Enugu, Udemba was already walking into a trap. In Enugu, Udemba was no longer the same. The good boy that Ifeoma loved was changing fast. He stopped waiting for her calls with excitement. He started going out every night with Chuka and Obinna. They laughed, drank, and spent money like kings. One evening, Chuka clapped Udemba on the back and said, See your life? Udemba, enjoy yourself. America girl, they send you free money. Udemba smiled and bought more drinks for everyone. He started buying fine clothes. He bought a big phone. He even bought a motorbike. When Ifeoma sent more money, she called him and said, "My love, use this money well. Buy more blocks. Soon I will come home." Udemba looked at the money in his hand. He thought for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "She will never know." He went to a new building site in town, took pictures of a house that was not his, and sent to Ifeoma. When Ifeoma saw the pictures, she fell on her knees and cried tears of joy. "Oh God, thank you," she prayed. "Very soon, I will come back to my Udemba and live in our own house." But Udemba was not thinking about her anymore. He was thinking about someone else. The someone else was Chidinma. Chidinma was beautiful. Her skin shined like fresh palm wine. Her eyes were sharp like knife. But inside her heart, she was very cunning. One day, after a night out, Chidinma touched her stomach and smiled at Udemba. "I have good news," she said. "I am carrying your baby." Udemba stood up in shock. "Chidinma, are you sure?" Chidinma laughed and said, "You are a big man now. You have money. Why are you afraid?" Udemba sat down and held his head. "What about Ifeoma? She is coming back." Chidinma moved closer and touched his shoulder. "Forget that America girl. You don't even know what she is doing there. I am here. I love you. We will be happy." Udemba looked into her eyes. For the first time, he forgot about the mango tree. He forgot about the blood oath. He forgot about Ifeoma crying alone in America. Slowly, he nodded and said, "Okay, we will marry before Ifeoma returns." Chidinma smiled and kissed his forehead. But what Udemba did not know was that Chidinma had her own secrets that would shake his life very soon. After many years of hard work, Ifeoma finally got her papers. She was now a full citizen in America. She danced around her small room, singing, "I am going home, I am going home." She packed her bags. She bought new clothes for her parents. She bought shoes and wristwatches for her brothers and sisters. For Udemba, she bought a golden wristwatch and a fine perfume. She even bought a beautiful white wedding dress. She hugged the dress and smiled. "Very soon, Udemba will marry me. I will be the happiest woman." She did not tell Udemba she was coming. She wanted to surprise him. She imagined how he would run to her, lift her up, and shout, "My Ifeoma, my wife." On the day of her flight, she wore her best clothes. As the airplane lifted into the sky, Ifeoma closed her eyes and whispered, "God, thank you. My dreams are coming true." But she did not know that back home, everything had changed. It was night when Ifeoma's plane landed in Enugu. She quickly found a taxi. She told the driver, "Please, take me to 6th Avenue, near the big market." The driver nodded and drove fast through the dark roads. Ifeoma sat at the back, holding her wedding dress tightly. Her heart was beating fast. "I can't wait to see our house," she said to herself, smiling. After some time, the taxi stopped. The driver said, "Madam, this is 6th Avenue." Ifeoma stepped out, carrying her bags. She looked around. Something felt wrong. There were no houses. There were no workers. There were no blocks. The land was empty. Bushes had covered everywhere. She moved closer and called, "Udemba! Udemba!" No answer. Only the sound of crickets in the night. Her hands started shaking. She looked at the bush again. "Maybe I am in the wrong place," she said aloud. She brought out the picture Udemba sent her. She compared it with the land before her. It didn't match. There was no building here, not even one block. Tears filled her eyes. "No, this cannot be true," she cried. She sat on her bag, under the moonlight, alone. The wedding dress in her hand fell into the dirt. Her phone was in her bag. She brought it out with shaking hands and called Udemba. He did not speak. She called again. Still no answer. Something cold started to grow inside her chest. Something very wrong was happening, and deep in her heart, she knew this was just the beginning of her broken dream. The next morning, Ifeoma woke up very early. She did not sleep much at all. Her heart was heavy like stone. She asked for Udemba's family house and took a taxi there. When she reached the house, she knocked the door softly. "God, please, let me see my Udemba," she prayed. After a short time, the door opened. A woman stood there. She was very beautiful, but her belly was big. She was clearly pregnant. The woman looked at Ifeoma from head to toe and said, "Who are you looking for?" Ifeoma smiled and said, "Good morning, my sister. I am Ifeoma. I am Udemba's wife-to-be. Please, I want to see him." The woman looked at her for a moment. Then she laughed loudly. "Wife? Wife-to-be? My dear, you are late," she said, shaking her head. "Late?" Ifeoma asked, confused. The woman pointed at her belly and said, "I am his wife. Udemba paid my bride price just last week. I am carrying his baby." Ifeoma felt her legs becoming weak. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Just then, Udemba's voice came from inside. "Chidima, who is at the door?" When Udemba came out and saw Ifeoma standing there, carrying her wedding dress and gifts, his face changed. His eyes opened wide in shock. "Ifeoma, you are here?" He stammered. Ifeoma's hands started to shake. She wanted to cry. She wanted to scream, but her voice was stuck inside her. She looked at Udemba. She looked at Chidima. She looked at the big belly. Tears filled her eyes. Her dreams were breaking right in front of her. Before Ifeoma could say anything, something else happened. A small boy, about 4 years old, ran out from the back of the house. He was laughing and calling, "Daddy, Daddy!" He ran straight into Udemba's arms. Udemba bent down and lifted him up. Ifeoma's mouth fell open. She stared at the little boy. She stared at Udemba. "Daddy?" She whispered to herself. It was like the ground under her feet was shaking. She felt as if she would fall down. She dropped her bag on the floor. The wedding dress fell out and touched the dirty ground. Slowly, with heavy steps, Ifeoma turned away. Tears ran down her face like rain. She started walking down the dusty road, not even knowing where she was going. Her heart was breaking into small pieces. But just as she reached the gate, someone grabbed her roughly by the arm. She turned around fast, ready to shout. It was Obinna, Udemba's elder brother. His face was serious. His breath was heavy. "Ifeoma, He whispered, "You must listen to me. You cannot just walk away like this. Udemba has done worse things than you think." Ifeoma wiped her tears and looked at him with wide eyes. "Worse? What could be worse than this?" she asked with a broken voice. Obinna looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then he whispered, "You are in danger. If you stay here, something bad will happen to you. Follow me now. I will tell you everything." Ifeoma stood there, shaking. She looked back at the house. She looked at Obinna. Should she follow him? Could she trust him? Her heart was beating very fast. She did not know that what she was about to hear would change her life forever. If you want to find out what happens next in the story, comment, continue the story below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next